Welcome to The Economy Magazine. I'm Benjamin Chong Alfares with the top stories in the global economy. Coming up today, Argentina adds stagflation to its financial worries, and Congolese robots control traffic in Kinshasa. First, a look at the headlines. China overtook India as the world's top gold consumer. China imported 1,066 metric tons of gold, overtaking India's 975 metric tons. Chinese demand for gold bars, coins, and jewelry rose 32% to record levels in 2013. Gold sales were supported by a 28% drop in the price and by fears about the slowing Chinese economy, a potential property bubble, and a fragile financial system. In India, consumption increased by 13%, but further growth was curbed by import restrictions aimed at narrowing the country's current account deficit. Stay in China, where the central bank has removed nearly $8 billion from the money market to control credit in the financial system. Chinese banks traditionally see a spurt in lending at the beginning of the year as businesses and consumers borrow money to fund spending in the new year. By reducing the amount of money available, the government makes it harder for banks to borrow and move the money into risky investments. The bank issued 14-day forward bond repurchase agreements to suck excess cash from its open market operations. The move sends a strong signal to the markets that the central bank is not letting liquidity ease. The Bank of Japan surprised markets by doubling incentives designed to encourage bank lending, weaken the yen, and lift Tokyo stocks. The lending programs offer additional stimulus as they help cash circulate through the economy. The surprise incentives greatly boosted stocks, which are key to Japan's economy. Japan's solid growth in 2013 was underpinned by unusually strong consumer spending, stimulated by a 50% jump in share prices. But a scheduled rise in sales tax to 8% in April is likely to hit consumption.
The Abe administration is not giving signals that it is satisfied, and they are loosening up labor laws and corporate taxes. And we can see an active push in this direction. I think these reforms might be underrated.
Ukraine's opposition leaders said they are hopeful of official German support after a meeting with Chancellor Angela Merkel. The opposition leaders said they urged Merkel to impose sanctions on the government in Ukraine. They earlier pressed President Viktor Yanukovych to accept curbs on his powers to allow the formation of an independent government to defuse protests and save the economy from collapse.
You need to fight using different means and tools, which includes compromise. We made an offer to President Yanukovych, but he is, as he has always been. He wants to buy time to drag us into never-ending negotiations and to deceive us. So we want a transparent, pro-European policy, based mainly on a compromise. The key pillar for us is a transparent one, a pro-European one. We need to save our country, to avert bloodshed, to fix the political and economic crises, and to make this country one that respects the dignity of every human being. And it's up to the president whether he accepts this compromise or not.
U.S. Senator Robert Menendez talked up hopes of immigration reform ahead of the 6th annual North American Leaders Summit. Menendez expressed hope a sweeping immigration bill passed by Senate last June will eventually make it through to law. The legislation that would give millions of undocumented immigrants a pathway to citizenship has languished in the House. But in recent weeks, there have been signs leaders may soon offer a framework for reform.
I still have the hope that, not a false hope, but a concrete one, that we could achieve something this year, but we need to change some of the political dynamics in Congress. And we hope that for the North American people who support migration reform survey after survey, a lot of support for migration reform will be achieved.
In Bangladesh, Western retailers begin a mass inspection of clothing factories nearly a year after 1,135 garment workers died in a building collapse. The safety inspection of the textile factories, funded by clothing chains like H&M and Benetton, will begin on Wednesday. Fire specialists and engineers will visit more than 1,500 textile mills and put forward recommendations on improving security conditions. The operation is expected to continue until September. U.S. Trade Ambassador Michael Froman and his European counterpart Karel de Gucht met in Washington ahead of next month's fourth round of free trade talks. The two sides have been in discussion since last year over the transatlantic trade and investment partnership to create the world's largest free trade area. Under the free trade area agreement, the European Union hopes its exports would jump 28%. But concerns remain on agricultural issues such as genetically modified organisms, which are strictly regulated in Europe. European car sales rose 5.2% in January, lifted by demand for compact cars in all major markets, including crisis-hit countries. Car sales rose to 968,000 vehicles in January, leaving manufacturers cautiously optimistic. Volkswagen and Peugeot rose 7.6% and 8.8% respectively, while Renault rose 3.8%. January marked the fifth consecutive month of growth in the European Union. All the major markets posted growth, with Britain and Spain both up 7.6% and German sales up 7.2%. In Italy, the region's fourth biggest market, sales grew 3.2%, while Greece posted a 15% rise, and Portugal saw a 32% growth in car registrations in January. And prosecutors charged 3 former Barclays bankers in connection with the rigging of global interest rates. All 3 have been charged with conspiring to defraud between June 2005 and August 2007. In mid-2012, Barclays admitted to manipulating LIBOR, used as a benchmark for trillions of dollars of financial products around the world. Barclays paid more than $450 million in 2012 as part of a settlement with US and UK regulators. Argentina has struggled financially since its $95 billion debt default in 2002. While government officials seek a settlement with the Paris Club in hopes of opening new sources of international funding, Argentines struggle with increasing inflation. The following report by Anthony Lesmy has the details.
Argentina may have stopped the fall of the peso in December, but now fears stagflation. High inflation combined with low or no growth. The government says that prices only shot up 3.7%, but onlookers say that this is a low estimate and that the government tends to manipulate numbers for the purpose of reassuring people.
The objective of this new index is to get more confidence internationally, because the false indexes won't achieve anything. The objective is to get some money internationally to try and rebuild the reserves, because the rate of loss is very high. If they don't get it, the other option is to directly raise interest rates, stop imports, rebuild the dollar control.
The credibility of the peso is at a low and the dollar is trading at a high price on the black market. The central bank's reserves are under $28 billion, the lowest level in 7 years. The combined effect of the higher interest of the central bank and the price spike is raising fears of a significant drop in consumption, the main engine of growth in Argentina. President Kirchner is also at war with supermarkets. She accuses them of price speculation on tomatoes, milk, and the Argentinian national plant, yerba.
What is the reason for there being a shortage of yerba? Is it imported? Look at how they lie. Is yerba imported? Obviously, this is called speculation.
The economic situation in Argentina is enticing new potential candidates to step forward onto the national political stage. The governor of Buenos Aires province could run for president in the upcoming 2015 elections on a ticket dedicated to staving off investors' fears.
How can you talk in apocalyptic terms about a country that has a 6.5% unemployment rate, that has the lowest debt level of countries in the world, that is on the cusp of receiving $30 billion from a record harvest, that has a central bank professionally driven to take care of these precise speculative conditions that can happen in the market?
Argentina is indeed at a crossroads. Its future depends on confidence, but at this point they are in need of either new international loans or a new deadline to pay off existing debts.
Going now to Congo, where a woman engineer may have resolved Kinshasa's traffic problems with her creation of 8-foot-tall talking androids. Her association, Women Technology, now eyes other markets to sell their $15,000 robot. More in the next report.
It may look like something from a low-budget sci-fi movie, but this 8-foot robot in the heart of Kinshasa helps bring real-life order to real-life chaos. Introduced in June last year to regulate the traffic, it's proving surprisingly effective and popular. And now its creators, an association called Women Technology, have global ambitions.
There
are many robots in the world, but a robot which is doing road safety and traffic control, that's truly made in Congo. We must sell our expertise to other countries, as well as Central Africa. Why not the US, Europe and Asia?
Each robot costs about $15,000. The machines are powered by solar panels, made of aluminium to withstand the equatorial climate, and equipped with cameras.
When the robot captures images, they're sent over the internet to a center where they're stored and could be used to prosecute people who've committed offenses.
The pictures could in future be sent on to the police, cutting accidents while gaining revenue for the state. Drivers seem to be getting the message.
The robot is good. When it stops the traffic, you can see that everybody stops, and the pedestrians can cross without a problem. Thank God for those who invented it. The traffic police bother us too much. Let's leave robots to do the job.
In this frenetic megacity of 10 million, the people seem happy to let the robots take control.
And we're joined now by Daniel Roth for a look at the international media in Media Watch. So Daniel, I understand we're going to be defining what it is to be poor.
Well, we're going to give it a try anyways.
Okay,
Haaretz had this story today, Israeli Daily, about apparently the government has this committee talking about poverty and how to solve poverty, and one of the options on the table is to redefine poverty. Which is, I'll grant, the cheapest, it's the most inexpensive way to deal with the problem.
Indeed.
Is to just say, well,
sounds really convenient.
all of you who thought you're poor, you're
not
poor.
poor anymore.
You're not. It does,
Right.
Forget about it.
Okay.
But it begs this question of how do you define poverty?
Right.
And here in Israel, the numbers are that if you make since 2012, it's been that if you make under 2,256 shekel, which is about $643, then you're under the poverty line.
Right.
You and I know, though, this is well below the number that it actually takes to live in any place in this country, really.
You can't even get a room to live in, I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, you'd have to pick food or shelter with those numbers.
Right.
And you're talking about 1.75 million Israelis who live under those numbers.
Right.
So the question how do you define it? Are those numbers, first of all, we know that that's too low a definition for this country.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's a lot of money somewhere else. $645 American is quite a lot.
Probably go a long way in India or some parts of Africa, presumably.
Right. So it begs the question, though, but at the same time, someone who lives in the Upper East Side of Manhattan, $500,000 a year is not enough. The New York Times actually carried a story. They were talking to people who really believe this, that $500,000 is not enough.
Right.
And for them, it's not. And what it really highlights is the relativity of poverty, that it's not really about a number. The number is something that a government defines. The reality is that you need to eat, you need to be educated, you need health care, you need shelter, you need all the things.
You need clothing.
You need clothing. I forgot about clothing. I always forget about clothing in that list.
Don't forget about clothing on this show.
Yes, it's really a question of what can you get for the money that you're talking about, and if you can't get the things you need to survive, then you're living in poverty.
Right.
And if you have to work multiple jobs, if you don't have free time to live life,
like the majority of us,
Yeah, I mean, but there's people who work one job, maybe one job and an extra thing that they do on the side.
Right.
But there are also people working in our economy here and around the world, in the States especially.
Sure.
There's people who are working 2-3 jobs at a time, just trying to get by.
Right. It's a whole different story. It's a whole different level. What else do we have here? There's something else from
The Financial Times was running this story. Apparently, in the mid 1970s, in '75, scientists and engineers made 10% more than bankers, and that's actually flipped in the last 30 plus years. So now it used to be that financial workers got paid £3,800 a year compared to academics at £5,000 a year. Now that's flipped, so that financial workers are making about double, and it really brings to light where some of the money in the world is heading.
Where are our priorities, indeed? Yeah. Well, on that nice little optimistic note, thank you very much, Daniel Roth,
always optimistic,
for giving us some more inspiration there. This takes us to the end of our edition. Thank you very much for watching. Do send us your comments via the website, Twitter, Facebook, and be here again tomorrow. Thank you.